This from Dog Pound Daily. 3 bold predictions for the Browns Saints Week 11. Myles Garrett will record multiple sacks again is number 1. Number 2, Jameis Winston bounces back in Week 11. Number 3, Browns win and everything becomes more complicated. Um, you know, Quincy, the Saints have already fired their head coach. They've lost, I think it's their 3 top wide receivers. Olave's out, he's on IR. Shaheed was on IR before that. One of their young rookies, Bub Means, is on IR. They're taking guys off the practice squad and saying whoever practices best this week is going to be active last week. And they ended up winning.
Yeah, I mean, they were playing Atlanta, right? They were playing a big rival in New Orleans. We know how those rivalry games can go different. The Browns just beat the Baltimore Ravens, right? It didn't mean nothing when they played against the Chargers. So, yeah, I wouldn't take them lightly, obviously, but I do think that this is a team that you can bounce back on. To kind of respond to the third point, I don't think the Browns winning makes anything complicated. The Browns shouldn't be that worried about their draft position. This is not a draft where you're like, oh, we got to get in the top 5 here because look at these 5 generational prospects. The guy that you could get at the top 5 at left tackle is not going to be much different than the guy you can get at 15 at left tackle. So if I'm the Browns, I want to build a culture of winning. And I want to win as much as possible. And I would like to remind folks, you've never seen a dynasty be built because a team decided to lose intentionally. Tanking's never built a dynasty. Look at all the good teams in the NFL right now. They did not intentionally lose to get the players that they got to get there. Like the teams that have done that, it's Miami and Cleveland. Look where we're at, right? Like it's not the great strategy that it feels like it is when your team is losing. I think it's just cope that makes us feel that way. The good teams try to win no matter what because you want to build to a standard to the team to aspire to no matter where you are in the season. I think that's more important than trying to decide whether you're going to be the 8th pick or the 10th pick.
Yeah, and you know what? The evaluation process doesn't start until after, so where you end up, I'm with you. Let me ask you this.
You can change where you end up in the draft, right? I think you can trade up in the draft if you don't like your position. You could do something about that. But if you get a stank of loser on you, that can't be changed. You can't trade loser away, right? So that's what you have to watch out for.
All right, what are you paying attention to with the Browns? What do you need to see the last, 8 games of the season? What do you want to see?
I need them to make a good argument, a great argument that the problems for this team offensively had to do with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, right? Like you want that argument to be made offensively for this team because the reason you do is that justifies keeping Kevin Stefanski. That justifies keeping Andrew Berry. Because if you look at this offense and you say, okay, the problem was Deshaun Watson fell off a cliff. We didn't expect it. Boom. That's the issue with the team. You can go into the offseason, build around that, and create a competitive team. If this team had better quarterback play, Dave, they'd be 5-4 at the very least right now. Like that's not a joke.
Yeah.
This is where they're at. They'd be 5-4. Like all this complaining, all this doom and gloom we're doing. They would be 5-4 if they just had mediocre quarterback play. I'm not saying like Josh Allen is the quarterback of this team. We'd be 5-4. Like if we just had mediocre quarterback play, we'd be 5-4 right now. So that to me, you have to make that argument going forward that you weren't that bad of a team that the beginning of the season suggested you were. You were just that bad because you were getting historically bad quarterback play from a player you absolutely did not expect to be historically bad. Now, how you handle that part of it, that's Andrew Berry's job going forward. That's his job to make sure that he avoids the brunt of the negative outcomes that can happen because of that. But if we're looking at Kevin and the Browns product on the field, you got to make the case that, hey, you weren't the team you were the first 7 weeks of the season, and there's a pretty good argument to why you weren't that team, and it starts at the quarterback position.